My name is Simon, and my favorite animal is a dog because they're cute and fluffy and just 'cause.
My name is Isaac. My favorite animal is the tarantula. They're awesome arachnid predators that have a variety of colors and patterns.
This is Paw Print, an animal rescue community, episode 18. I'm Harold Rhee.
I'm Nancy Rhee. Today's guest is Dr. Christine Chang Lim.
And her two rescue stories, one involving Ginger and the second involving Zero. Christine and I grew up together in the suburbs of Buffalo, New York, where she had a wonderful dog named Peggy. In Northern California, we became neighbors again. If you want to learn more about Dr. Christine Chang Lim
and see some amusing photos of Ginger and Zero, go to our show notes at thisispawprint.com/18. That's the number 18.
And thanks to Christine for being the voice that ends every episode of the Pawprint Animal Rescue Podcast.
I'm a mom. I have two young boys. One is in 6th grade, the other's in 8th. I'm also a physician. I work as a psychiatrist. So originally I'm from Buffalo, New York, and that's how I know Harold. Our families lived relatively close, and we grew up in the same neighborhood. And just once upon a time, when we moved out here, I ran into Harold spontaneously at Costco. And we found out that, again, we live very close to one another.
There you go.
So we adopted Ginger at the SPCA in Tonawanda, New York. It just happened to be one Saturday afternoon, my brother was trying to convince me to go just visit pups. He's like, come on, let's go. I go to this SPCA all the time. They're really cute. Let's just see how the dogs react, or how the kids react around the animals. Let's just check them out. So I decided, well, that would be nice. So I grew up with the dog. We had a beagle named Peggy. Always wanted to continue having dogs, just didn't have the chance to do it. So we figured, okay, we've got a house. Things are settled down now. I just thought we were going to go look at dogs. So we went to the SPCA. You have to fill out an application form. And since my brother had already done that, he went ahead and he took all the kids with him, and I sat outside filling out the forms. By the time I finished, I walked back there, and he's like, we found the perfect puppy. I can't believe it. You never get to find a puppy like this. You've got to come see her. And they already had her in that little playroom, the meet and greet room. And the kids were fawning over her. She was so sweet. She was really timid, but just so good around the young boys that can be loud and rambunctious and wanting to handle her. And I just, at the time I wasn't thinking I was going to go home with the dog. So I just sort of enjoyed her presence. And it wasn't until I realized, we've got to get going. And I kept thinking, I can't leave her here. I want to bring her home with me. So that's sort of how it all started. My husband, unfortunately, wasn't there with us. And James was on call overnight, and he had just gotten home that morning. So he was sleeping. But I couldn't go home with the dog without telling him. So my heart was pounding, and I just called him, and I sort of frantically, I blurted out, I was like, I found the most perfect puppy. We've got to bring her home. I can't leave her here. What if no one wants to take her home? What's going to happen to her? I've got to bring her home. And the poor guy was just like, what? I just want to sleep. Okay. And that was the end of our conversation. I took that okay as a real yes. We signed her off, got everything we needed, and we brought her home.
So this is Ginger?
Yeah.
And what kind of dog is she?
She's a Boxer Vizsla mix, but she looks like she might have some pit bull mix in her as well.
I don't know, how would we describe her? She's playful.
Very affectionate, very playful, very needy and attention-seeking, excitable, but so much personality. Her facial expressions, which you don't always get to see in a lot of dogs, are what give her that special quality that we really enjoy about her.
She's not a Great Dane, but kind of has the facial expressions of, let's say, a Marmaduke type of cartoon character.
Yeah, she really speaks to you through her expressions.
And so Ginger is, how big is she? How much does she weigh?
She's almost 70 pounds.
70 pounds.
Yeah.
But we should let our listeners know that Ginger thinks she weighs only 20 pounds.
Right. If she could, she would bounce right up onto your lap. She thinks she's lightly tapping you with her paw, but really she's knocking you down.
What makes Ginger special in your eyes?
I think it's just that tenderness that she has, and like I mentioned before, just the expressions she has. It's not like I'm looking at just a face, she's really communicating, and she just enjoys being in your presence. And I think that's what I appreciate so much about her. You know, she just wants to be there with you. And it's very nice and reassuring and comforting. We adopted her in 2009.
And your kids were pretty young.
Yeah, 5 and 6 at the time.
5 and
Isaac
6,
wasn't
wow.
7 yet, yeah.
And you got Ginger as a puppy. How old was she?
They were
when you got her?
estimating she was about 5 or 6 months.
5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And what kind of puppy was she?
She was a really anxious pup. When we got her, whoever surrenders the dog has to fill out a sheet. And they had indicated that they had adopted her from the SPCA 2 weeks prior. And they brought her back because they felt like they couldn't give her the attention she needed. Unfortunately, she was crated for 10 hours a day while they were at work and had no contact, and they felt like that really wasn't good for her. She needed a lot more attention than that. So I think because she was so anxious, she had a lot of cuts on her, and I think that was part of her anxiety trying to get out of crates because she didn't like it at all. So I think that was her attempts and efforts to get out whenever she was in one.
So what made you decide to get a second dog?
2 reasons. When we first moved out here, we promised Simon we would get a second dog because he wanted one that was small enough he could hold and cuddle with. That was the first thing he was looking forward to when we moved out here. The second reason was because Ginger is an anxious dog. It was a new environment. The move was very big for her. We drove across country and she did fairly well. I think it helped that she was with us the whole time. We stayed at hotels that allowed dogs, and 24 hours a day she was with us. But we knew being in a new environment would be very anxiety provoking for her, and having a companion would be really nice. We went to ARF, the Animal Rescue Foundation, and prior to going, we looked at all the dogs that they had, and Simon fell in love with this little Chihuahua named Marge. And she was an older Chihuahua, but the description they gave about her and just the way that she looked, he really wanted to go see her. He's like, this is the dog that I want. So we all went, and I didn't realize how busy it would be, and you have to sign a form and everything. And so there was a bit of a wait, and just 2 people before us, a woman had asked to see Marge. Mm-hmm. And we were watching very, very, very carefully. You could tell that she just connected with the Chihuahua so quickly. She knew relatively early on that she was going to take her home. And Simon's heart just broke because he was so fixed on wanting to get her. But we, said, well, let's look around. Let's see what other dogs they have. We chanced upon another Chihuahua called Monopole. I don't know how they come up with these names at ARF, but his name was Monopole, and we played with him, and he seemed kind of timid, but still very nice and tolerated being with the boys pretty well. And so I guess one of the first factors is that if you have a dog at home, you've got to bring your home dog into ARF, and then they test it out to make sure the dogs are compatible. We went home. The next day, we brought back Ginger. The 2 of them got along okay. I guess they have a facilitator or a trainer observing the interaction. She was thinking that it would probably work, but Monopole was very, very timid around Ginger, and she wasn't sure because of the size difference how that would work out. We were considering, well, we would probably adopt Monopole. And I took a picture and I sent it to James because, again, he wasn't with us, unfortunately. And immediately he wrote back and said, nope, I don't like it. So that was the end of that, because the trainer says, at least at ARF, they have to have everyone an agreement within the family so you don't take a dog home and end up bringing it right back. The next weekend, we went back with James, the whole family this time, including Ginger. So if we did find a pup that we really liked, we could have them meet right away. He found Zero, but his name at the time was Zeno. He was partially trained. I guess he was working with one of the teen volunteers at ARF, teen trainers, and he was in some kind of camp, and they were trying to teach him something. So he knew how to sit and things like that. So he was cute and not too interactive with us. He wasn't so engaging, so it was a little bit harder to just sort of fall for him. But once we put him and Ginger together, the 2 of them got along incredibly well. It was amazing because at this point in time, Ginger wasn't so keen on other dogs, but for some reason, something clicked between the 2 of them, and we knew this is a good match. So with James's approval and with Ginger's approval, we brought Zero home, And he's really grown on us. Like I said in the beginning, it was a little harder because he wasn't too interactive. And I guess he was a stray that was found out in Sacramento. So he probably didn't have a lot of human interaction, but he just slowly grew on us, and he and Ginger are a lot of times inseparable and a very loved part of our family.
Ginger tends to be more on that emotional ride or the wave or whatever, while Zero tends to be maybe more steady. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he's surprisingly the dominant one. He's got a little Napoleon syndrome.
Oh, Zero is the dominant one?
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't appear that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, ostensibly it seems like Ginger.
You would think Ginger would be because of her size, but he's kind of the boss.
But kind of in a silent way then, right?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
He makes it very clear to her.
Let's get some video. What makes Zero special in your mind?
Even though we adopted Zero mostly for Simon as his cuddly little animal, he's actually attached more to me. So I see him a lot more affectionately. He doesn't like screaming. He doesn't like little kids. So when the boys' friends come over, he's usually the one that's hiding, doesn't like to be around it. But he loves to snuggle. And I like that. So if I'm reading or I'm just having an afternoon, some quiet time, he likes to sit on my lap. And he's just very snug, very adorable that way. I'm really glad over the fact that he and Ginger get along so well. Because if it wasn't for him, she wouldn't have adapted well at all. They're each other's security blankets. So it's nice to see that connection. And it's nice to have the affection from both of the dogs, really. They just both want to be right there with you, and it's very nice.
Give a good reason to the audience why they should consider an animal rescue.
There are so many great reasons to adopt an animal from the shelter, because there are, number one, so many that are available that just need loving, good homes. And they come from various backgrounds, and sometimes it's unpredictable, but sometimes the animals come from homes, and they're already trained, and they're already loving and affectionate, just the owner couldn't keep them any longer. But it gives these animals an opportunity to just experience love and be really rescued from a really sad environment. And the nice thing is they are mostly mixes of different breeds, and you get a little bit of everything. So it's not just your typical or what you would expect all the time. And sometimes some can be a little bit more rough than others, but it's like that with anything. With kids, you never know what you're going to get, even when they come from the same two parents,
We just want to say thank you to Dr. Christine Chang Lim for sharing her stories. And we want to say thank you to Ginger and Zero for being good sports. You'll know what I mean when you view their photos at thisispawprint.com/18. We also want to give a special thanks to our son Dylan, editing the episodes of Peter Zeutlin, Dr. Christine Chang, Marie Mackisbach, and some future episodes. So thank you, Dylan. If you'd like to look us up on Facebook, you can find us at facebook.com/thisispawprint. You'll find updates on our episodes and the podcast in general, some news articles, and every once in a while, videos of Harold and Nancy in the recording studio. If you want to listen to more episodes, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, in addition to Pocket Casts for those of you who use that app. We want to say thank you to all of you, our listeners out there, for inspiring us with your stories. And we want to welcome new listeners from Louisville, Kentucky, Portland, Oregon, and Albany, New York. Remember that you share a positive message of love and peace by saving an animal. Have a great day, everyone, and see you next time on Paw Print.
Paw Print is a production of EVER Education.
You can't handle the truth.
Woohoo!